All right, everybody. Hey, it is hot. I am hot and I am ready to go. Welcome to the Simeon Henderson Show, where we are giving a voice to the people. We are live. We are live and ready to go. We have Reverend McLeod coming on with us today. It's going to be a fun show. It's going to be cool. I am looking forward to it. You guys ready? You guys ready? So we have Reverend McLeod coming on, and we're going to have a good conversation today. I missed you guys. I've been off for a little bit, but now it's time to get back in tune with you guys and get the show going. And I am ready to have some fun. So we're going to have a good show today. And I just want to know how you guys been doing. I know it's been a lot going on, and everything has been kind of hectic. But we are still here. If you're watching this, you're still here, and we are about to get into it. Let's get ready for the Simeon Henderson Show, where we're giving a voice to the people. I am ready to go now. All right, guys, welcome to the Simeon Henderson Show, where we're giving a voice to the people. I am ready to go. I have a great show for you today. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Sip and Savor Hour. I don't know what you're sipping on, but today it's so hot, I'm sipping on water. A lot has been going on. A lot has been going on in the world, and I just want to know, what have you guys been doing during the pandemic? Have you guys been taking it easy? Have you been social distancing? Have you been getting ready? We're in phase 4. Everything is opening up and people are moving about. I just want you guys to be safe and understand and know that although everything is open, that doesn't mean that everything is safe. So you guys have to be aware of your surroundings and what's going on. Make sure you're keeping your social distance, and make sure you guys are staying safe out there as you get back to some sense of normalcy. There's been so many things going on in the world, and it's been hard to kind of deal with. So many people have been having a lot of issues. We've been dealing with a lot of racism, systemic racism, and we've been dealing with a lot of injustices in a lot of Chicago. We've been dealing with a lot of deaths and murders and different things like that. It's enough to make you feel some type of way. But I want to inspire you guys to continue to stay focused, to continue to stay faithful, and continue to stay consistent in all you do. If you have any questions, or there's a topic, or there's something that you want to discuss today, make sure you leave a comment, and we will get to it. And I will make sure we answer your question. I have Reverend Aaron McLeod. He's going to be on today, and we're going to just have a real conversation about life, about faith, about the pandemic, about the different things going on in the world. We want to know what you guys are thinking. We want to know how you guys are feeling about what's going on, and we just want to know that you guys are in tune and ready. So I am about to introduce my guests. So the Simeon Henderson Show is proud to have faith leader Reverend Aaron McLeod on the show today. He's the lead pastor of Gorham United Methodist Church, located right here in the great city of Chicago at 5600 South Indiana. And Reverend McLeod's ministry is designed to empower God's people through the preached word of liberation theology. In addition to this, his pastoral leadership, Reverend Erin is an attorney and advocate for social justice, equality, and civil liberty. Okay, he is a husband, a father, and proud member of Omega Psi Phi. We won't hold that against him because I'm a Sigma. You see all this blue incorporated. But Pastor McLeod Welcome to the Simeon Henderson Show, where we're giving a voice to the people. It's really good to see you, sir. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, sir. Thank you for the invitation. I'm excited, been looking forward to joining you in this endeavor. Thanks again for the invitation.
Oh, no problem. I just thank you. I want to get right into it, right? Reverend McLeod, as a faith leader and advocate for social justice, what has been some of your most challenging experiences?
Really exuding the courage and being uncompromised to speak truth to power at all times, to advocate for the least of these, to advocate for God's children. When I was matriculating through law school and then becoming a licensed attorney, people would always chide me. They would tease me and say, how can you become a lawyer and be a preacher, ordained minister of the gospel? And so within that, what I always let them know is that to be an ordained minister of the gospel is to advocate as well as to be a licensed attorney. We're to advocate on behalf of the people that God would show mercy and grace, but more importantly, that we would see justice run down like a mighty river.
Okay, and that's so. It's funny because I see you're a pastor and you're an attorney, and I liken it to be I used to be a Chicago cop, and I'm an educator and I'm a motivational speaker, and I come from over 100 years of ministry, and what I do in a sense is ministry. I'm a man of faith. Everything I do is faith-based, and I just think that it's really cool because when you come at it from a different perspective, right?
Yes.
You come at it from a different perspective, and we know that you not only can show sympathy, but you have empathy for mankind, which gives you another spin and look and take on things, which is so good. So talk to us about liberation theology and how it's aligned with your advocacy for social justice.
Well, liberation theology is a thought that comes from our community. We have seminal texts, The Cross and the Lynching Tree, James Cone, in my particular opinion, is the author of Black Liberation Theology, and work that he did with his partner, co-author, writing The God of the Oppressed, really speaking whereby we embrace Jesus's mission statement in Luke 4, 18 and 19, where it says, the Spirit of the Lord is upon me.
Okay, give us that word.
To give sight to the blind, to liberate the oppressed, to preach the acceptable year of the Lord. So there's a lot of confusion out here, particularly with folks and their different theology, prosperity gospel, whereby we really lose sight of what and who one Jesus was. Jesus was the underground king. He was on the undercard. He did not come from a blue blood. He was coming from a community that, we wouldn't expect anything great to come from that community. He was a carpenter. He did not matriculate through the august institutions of his day. So he would not have gone to the University of Chicago, Northwestern, Loyola, the University of Illinois. However, he knew and he studied the Holy Writ. He studied the Holy Scriptures, and he used his life to liberate people, to help those who were on the fringes, liberating those who were sick, empowering women, empowering those who were lifeless and giving them lives. But his life was the tremendous sacrifice to ensure that we would have the right to eternal life. That's post-life, but down here on earth, embracing the work of Gabriel Wilmore as well as James Cone, we as Black folk, people kissed by nature's son, and enlightened folk of other communities as well, are charged to be the change that we want to see. We are charged to reason and embrace this notion of what we call agape love. The Bible, when the disciples, particularly in the New Testament, asked Jesus, what are the greatest commands? And there's 10 in the Old Testament, but the two that he weighs in on are that we are to love God with everything, all of our soul, all of our might, all of our being, and to love our neighbors as ourselves. Yes. So I pose a question to myself daily. Am I loving my neighbor as myself? If I'm not advocating to ensure that resource-strapped parents, particularly in our city, don't have the opportunity to afford their children what we would call a free and appropriate education, which is mandated by our government, but to ensure that they're not being warehoused in light of the poor quality of education into our prison industrial system. I'm asking, when our brothers and sisters up in Flint, Michigan don't have access to clean water, am I loving my neighbor? When we look at what we are experiencing in our country, whereby we are making, when I say we collectively, the beloved community, are either intentionally or passively making the argument that Black lives don't matter, either by our intentional actions, our complicit actions, us being silent, us trying to reason away the poor actions of several types of people, those who are in blue, those who are elected, those who have more wealth than the average person, to ensure that there is equity, that there's an equitable distribution of resources, of justice in our community.
Okay. I appreciate that. So it's looking at all those different variables, and there's so many different things that go on. It causes us, those of us that walk by faith. And I always tell people, when you talk about faith, sometimes people think you're going to get super spiritual and spooky and all of that. And that's not the case, because if you look at the definition of faith, it's the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. So I always break it down to people. I say, you remember that time when you asked your mom or your dad for a bike or a pair of shoes or a purse or anything, and they said, I can't get it for you right now, Erin, but when I get paid on my second check next month, I'm going to get it. And you held on to the fact that they said they were going to get it. And whenever you got it, it was just like you first asked. You were excited. You had faith that you were going to get it, even though you couldn't see it, you couldn't touch it, but you knew if mama or daddy said, I'm going to get it, that I'm going to get it. So this whole thing about faith is just about holding on to your principles and what you believe in. And so the world wants us to conform to so many different things. I think that it's okay to still walk in your faith and your beliefs and in your purpose and not have to waver because everybody doesn't agree with you.
Definitely. I mean, we should embrace a diversity of thought, but certain things that people are doing now is just illogical. Insightful language to promote discord among our country, not smart. There's no sense of efficiency or effectiveness in carrying out that type of behavior. To invest in things that don't necessarily pay the necessary dividends to build what we call stronger and safer communities. Right. Okay for us to call that out. We hear Cornel West, and we haven't heard a lot from him lately, but he would always quote Socrates and say that the unexamined life is not worth living. It is our goal to critique. and to have healthy critique. We are to be in dialogue.
Yes. Yes. So let me ask you this. So with so
She's
many
right.
different things going on right now.
Okay. Can you still hear me?
You there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right.
Yes,
All right. I would challenge anybody who would try to censor someone's rights to sound off, no matter how ridiculous they may sound. But the engagement, how we engage in the process of embracing the cacophony of thought, that the best ideas would move us to the top or move us forward. But also we'll understand that there's some people out there who say some foolish things, some dumb things that we can correct through engagement and education to point our people on the right path.
So when we talk about the pandemic, right? COVID-19, the pandemic. We know that this has tested our faith, right? We know that this has tested our faith and it's introduced America to a new norm, right? So what is the foreseeable future of the church look like for you? What do you think we're going to have to go through as believers, as churchgoers? What do you think we're going to be up against?
We have to be open. We have to, in the words of Otis Moss III, divinely imagine what our future will be. We cannot embrace church as usual to have people think that we will be able to come back and be packed in like sardines and not embrace and work to channel what we call the digital divide. And so to that end, we're going to have to do some work. We're going to have to ensure that people have access to devices, in particular computers and smartphones, and that we are manipulating social media just to connect, but more importantly, to educate. And so over the next year or so, yes, I said year, we're in July, arguably until July of 2021, we are going to have to navigate this pandemic wisely. We cannot trump our intellect at the door of the church and just think that we're going to pray and everything is going to be all right. Frederick Douglass says that he really learned the power of prayer when he learned how to pray with his legs. We cannot be ignorant. We cannot do things that are stupid. There's a difference between ignorance and stupidity. Ignorance simply means that you don't know. Okay. Right. Stupidity is when you do wrong and you know better. And so within that, what we cannot do, quoting the Reverend Dr. Shakira Sanchez, who too is bivocational, ordained clergy, as well as a licensed physician at Northwestern Hospital, but serving over at St. James AME with her husband, we cannot afford to have small church pandemics because we're in a rush to come back to the church. Our buildings must be clean. We must mitigate risk. I've even seen that my followership and viewership has almost tripled the amount of people who we would see on a Sunday. Right. You know, the ease of rolling out of bed to see a well thought out, well produced worship service takes on a different meaning today. And I think going forward, people are going to want to have that same convenience, but also be challenged to embrace technology in a way to be effective in evangelism, connecting, sharing ideas such as liberation theology, exposing people to critical theological education and Christian education, you know, understanding who people like J. Cameron Carter are and Ibrahim X. Kendi through this whole notion of a technological platform whereby we can level playing fields by providing access to quality teaching as part of our Christian education.
And speaking about quality teaching and talking about the church and different things like that, I want to show the people something really quick.
Mm-hmm.
Check this out, everybody.
All
I
right.
just want you to see Reverend Dr. Aaron McLeod. I wanted you to see how he gets down on the pulpit. Check this out.
I preach on Christ, the solid rock I stand. All other ground is sinking sand. Church, I preach because I love Jesus. And when I think about the goodness of Jesus and all that he's done for me, when I think about the goodness of Jesus and how he set me free, church, I can't be stuck up. I can't be hoity-toity, but when I can't be funny acting, because if it had not been for the Lord who was on my side, I don't know where would I be. He kept my enemies away. He let the sun shine through a cloudy day. He wrapped me in the cradle of his arms, even when he knew I was battled from the start. Church, when I think about the goodness of Jesus and all that he's done for me, I can sing through it all. I've learned to trust in Jesus. I've learned to trust in God. I said through the mayonnaise sandwiches, through foreclosure, through lights cut off, through water cut off, through back child support, through layoffs and unemployment, through divorce and spousal abuse, through heartbreaks and setbacks. Through it all, I've learned to trust in Jesus. I've learned to trust in God. But my grandmama would say, I said I wasn't going to tell nobody, but I just couldn't keep it to myself. What the Lord has done for me. Church, I just encourage you tonight to preach. 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 When you feel like it, preach.
Thank you, sir.
You there?
I'm here. I'm here.
You there? Did you see it? Did you see it?
I saw it. Yes, I did. I did.
Did you see it?
I saw it. I saw it.
Yeah. Hey, so the thing I loved about that, that piece of that sermon is the fact that you talked about through it all. It all. And when we think about this pandemic, when we think about the killings and the protests, that we have to stay faithful and focused and consistent and committed through it all. No matter what's going on, we have to still trust in God, and we have to still stay focused on the mission at hand. And when you talk about the death of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and Ahmaud Arbery and Rayshard Brooks, and it's captured the attention of intergenerations of diverse Americans, right? So various cultures, both domestic and globally, are demonstrating protests. Is there any strategy defining enough to change the world? Is there anything that we can do or people can do that will change the systemic racism and the inequality and injustice of Black people and minorities, period?
Yeah, definitely engage. We need not sit by and be complicit and be silent. We must engage and speak up. We must ask questions, critical questions about who we want to be as a society and where we want to go. Education is critical.
Yes.
Critical. Even the difference between the notion of equality versus equity. I'm not necessarily championing equality. I'm championing equity.
Okay.
Equitable distribution. What that means is there are some who need less and there are some who need more. But to ensure that all of us are where we need to be, let's equitably distribute resources, make available resources that we all can have opportunities to be who God has encouraged us to be. Reading, studying, to embrace philosophies, not to as from a rote memorization, but to really understand what things are and not engage in regurgitating buzzwords that we really don't understand or mean.
Right.
White supremacy is real.
Yes.
And as dark as I am and as dark as you are,
Mm-hmm.
we still benefit from white supremacy.
Yeah.
And to that end, we must challenge, in particular, our white brothers and sisters who are male,
Right.
in particular, who are male, our white brothers who are male, to understand that we have to do the deconstruction work to understand that if we take a step back and say, hey, man, this really isn't who or what I'm about,
Right.
even though I benefit at the peril or the expense of defenseless people, we're better than that.
Right.
We could be better than that.
Yes.
And so some people, in particular, people who are kids by nature, son, want to, paint with brushes of inaccuracy that racism does not affect Black people. It's a lie from the pit of hell. And that it's a fallacy. No, it is real. It is these systems, and it's more than prejudice of I don't like you because of the color of your skin,
Right.
or vice versa. It is the systematic exclusion or the systematic advantagement of certain folk versus other folk. No merit at all, but just based off of a theme or an archetype that white is better. White culture is better. So with that, just being honest, we have to face it to fix it. The consequences and the residue of 400 years of slavery have done a tremendous bit of work on our people. Yeah. And we can't just sweep and wash that to the side and say, oh, well, we just got to get over it. And some people have done well in spite of the fact that we are descendants of slaves and despite the fact that they've been under-resourced or being Black in America.
Yes.
But that should not negate our country from doing the necessary work to bring about an equitable solution to help push us forward because we deserve it.
Yes, sir. And as an attorney, what do you think, or what reforms need to take place in order to improve law enforcement personnel?
It begins with training. I partnered and worked with an organization called Nehemiah Trinity Rising, led by a very, very gifted attorney here in the state of Illinois, in the city of Chicago, by the name of Michelle Day, who too is an attorney as well as a minister of the gospel. And story background, I mean, in-house counsel at McDonald's, first-rate credentials, Big Ten law school graduate. But what she has done is champion this whole notion of restorative justice to not only teach it in schools, but teach and train officers as well. And so we've been doing some work here in the Washington Park community with the Washington Park Chamber of Commerce, with local leaders like Donna Hampton Smith, the 2nd District Police Station, and their commander, to ensure that our police officers are adequately trained. And so now we hear defund the police, defund the police. I think that is an option that we really need to investigate and really parse out to see ways in which we could look at their budget and reallocate funds to ensure that there is meaningful training, restorative justice, meaningful diversity training, meaningful cultural competence training, not just for white officers, but for Black officers, Latino and Hispanic officers, for officers of different sexual orientations and persuasions. We need to ensure that we are, that our officers, as well as us, because we police our communities as well, are adequately prepared to provide the best care, concern, and compassion for our community.
So I think one of the things that I think we have to remember is this. When we talk about training, I think being an ex-police officer, we got good training.
Mm-hmm.
We got really good training. What one of the problems is, once you get out of the academy, you do everything that you have to do to get through the academy. You follow all their rules, you take the tests, you abide by the trainings, you do all of that stuff, and you swear to do your job and uphold that oath. But when people get out there in the streets, it's kind of a different story. They get out there and you got a lot of people that become police officers that they would never go in these neighborhoods if they didn't have their badge and gun, and they're already scared or frightened or fearful of the neighborhood and the people that they're policing or protecting and serving. So now it brings on a whole nother set of problems. So now they're going to react in ways that are not really protecting the people, but protecting themselves because they're scared, So do you feel that the solution of eradicating police brutality, well, you talked about the defunding, where they talk about defunding. So we talked about that kind of, but it's just one of those things where as a black man, right? As a black man and a father, what lessons or best practices do you give your teenage son, because you have a teenage son, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what do you give them? What do you tell him if he's approached by the police? How do you tell him to react?
Two things. Can I go back to something that you said about the training that you went through?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to answer that question.
Mm-hmm.
One, I went through the Citizens Police Academy for the Chicago Police Department. Also went through the Citizens Police training for the FBI here in Chicago as well. As a faith leader, as a business leader, I was chosen to go through both of those programs on the FBI level. Larger than life, very, very exclusive experience.
Mm-hmm.
Chicago level, more grassroots, but you're absolutely right. We have first-rate equipment systems for our local Chicago Police Department as well as our regional FBI, state police as well. However, I do question some of the policies, right? Because they don't translate well for citizens. One, the whole notion, eliminating the threat when you are encountering a alleged suspect, because the mantra is, I want to get home too. I want to make it home.
Yep.
Arguably problematic, but I see both sides, right? Two, the way in which the city, their policy on policing, in particular, black gang violence versus white collar crimes, particularly in the Asian community, around counterfeiting, around bootlegging, totally different.
Right.
The whole notion that black people are more violent, but will allow other communities, and that's Asian, that's white communities, that is the Hispanic communities, and by and large, they lump black and Hispanics together on the violent paradigm, but they will allow an undermarket of money making, laundering, the whole nine, but demonize black people as being more violent or paying more attention to gang violence, but not having any meaningful plans from economic development, whereby we know that these alarming numbers happen in certain neighborhoods where there's no viable economic activity. So there are some areas of improvement from a policy standpoint that needs to be flushed out. Now, to your other question about what do I tell my children, my boys in particular, but I have godchildren who are women, young lady who's at Lynn Bloom High School, misunderstood Kennedy Shanks, love her dearly. My youngest goddaughter is 3 years old. I have one who just was born, Yael and Yara. What I tell them, and we did a PSA on this some years back when I was serving at Trinity United Church of Christ. My sons, Thompson and Rashawn, know if you were stopped by the police, you don't engage them. You say, sir, ma'am, can I call my father? Immediately. He is an attorney. They know that policy and procedure, particularly with the Chicago Police Department, even the Illinois State Police, is when you encounter a minor, they ask for their parents. You must stop your investigation and allow them to call their parents so that they can be aided by the child or the adolescent or the underage person can be aided by their team. 2, don't run. Don't make any unnecessary movements. Be calm. Even if you have done something wrong.
Right.
You've done something wrong. And so I want people, in particular our young folk, and we run the gamut when you look at the socioeconomic diversity of our community. There's a difference when you have a well-endowed middle class, upper middle class, or wealthy Black person encountering the police. Not saying that their bullets won't be shot, not to say that they have not been abused and been victims of police brutality and police violence. But depending on who it is, arguably your level of calmness is different.
Yes.
Sons, they know I'm coming with my network. They know that they have uncles on Chicago PD, my frat brothers.
Right.
Within our MPHC network. If we have an issue, we're going to get down to business.
Right.
And somebody will be held accountable.
Right.
Now, that does not give them a license to be cocky, to be arrogant, to be untoward, but I am training them to handle themselves accordingly until the proper adult, until the proper chaperone comes to help us navigate the situation with the police.
Right.
When I see police around the city, no matter their color, their ethnicity, I try to give them a wave. If I'm walking on the street, they're on the beat walking, I say, hey, brother, hey, sister, I want you to be safe out here. We're counting on you to do the right thing. And the mode of confidence that they feel coming from somebody like me who they don't know, just looking at my physique, if I'm in a suit or not, it affirms them to do what is right.
Yes, it holds them accountable. When I see the police officers now, I speak. I always say, how you doing? Be safe out there, officer. You know, and because I know and remember what it was like to wear that badge and walk in that uniform and not know what will happen next or not know one situation to the next. And it could be a scary feeling. And when you talk about all of this, now we're talking about what percentage of ownership would you say that Black America has in the destruction of our conditions? So the way we're being treated, what do you think that we could take some ownership of the way we've been treated? Or do you think it's just a bad situation all around?
I think it's illogical to blame a victim. We've had a sister from our community. I don't know if you've heard of this young lady, Candace Owens.
Yes. Yes. Is she from Chicago?
No, she's from out east, Connecticut.
Yeah, but I've been watching a lot of her stuff lately. She is.
Yeah. And I'm not going to besmirch. I've heard some people say some really nasty things about her. Attack the argument, not the person.
Right. But she's actually a really smart woman.
She's articulate. I'm not going to say that
she's very articulate.
She's articulate, but
very articulate.
I think she lacks context on issues as far as race and critical race theory. Like, you can tell she hasn't read some of the heavyweights, like Devin Corbado, Adrian Wing, Derek Bell, to be this forerunner on the conservative side of the race relations talk. And she's no Tom Sowell, who is, conservative, or Walter Williams, or Larry Elders. But within that, not to suggest that just because you've gone and earned, a PhD from the University of Chicago or from UCLA, or a law degree from the University of Michigan, that gives you or validates your conservative nature as an African-American person.
Right.
Not suggesting that at all. You just need to know what the hell you're talking about.
Yeah. She contradicts herself a lot.
Yeah.
Like some of the things that she says, if you catch at the right point of a conversation, you would think she's totally for us. And then she'll say something in that next breath that have you like, what did she just say? And I'm like, so I just sometimes I just hold my tongue on certain things because what would we talk? If you don't have nothing nice to say, sometimes just don't say nothing.
Don't say anything at all. And I think that's a good thing. But can I go back to your initial question, sir?
Yes, sir.
When you look, it's irresponsible to blame a victim.
Right.
Like, for example, and I'll use a strong language. The idiotic nature of someone to say that a rape victim brought the rape on him or herself. Just illogical, doesn't make any sense. And so when you look at how we are victims of institutional racism, which has economic consequences that lend some people to be victims of abject poverty, poor education, limited opportunity. Some of that you just can't overcome like certain people. This whole notion of bootstrapping. Some people have boots, but there are no straps to pull up.
Right.
But then again, the reality, and this is where it may sound contradictory, is we can't count on other people to do it for us. There's no incentive in particular for an ignorant white person in particular, just doesn't know, to verse him or herself to intentionally disarm themselves from the privilege of being white. And so when you look at other communities, a lot of times we hold up our Jewish brothers and sisters who have been extraordinarily oppressed.
Yes.
But we look now at our Hispanic brothers and sisters who too have been oppressed, but they are mobilizing, particularly in this city, very well for the economic progression of their people and doing wonderful things. And not to even feed into stereotypes, but you have undocumented workers who are coming here and living the American dream and contributing to our economy and providing not menial services, but complex services. To be in the construction field, you have to manipulate math, science, physics, at times chemistry.
Yes.
And they are doing it and doing it well and providing a plethora of services across communities. So to that end, a part of it is our problem, whereby we are not working or we are having a divide, if you will, amongst certain factions of our community, not to lift as we climb. You know about that, right?
Yes.
To help people along the way so our living won't be in vain. We cannot count on other people to educate our children.
Man, say that.
School for an Asian child is from 8 in the morning until 3 in the afternoon, and then you go to community school to perfect your knowledge of math and science until 6, 7 o'clock at night, with the intention that you build and do business and build community with your community.
Right.
We talk about Black Wall Street. 1921, the black dollar went through the community 36 times before it left. 2020, only 5 times before it leaves our community. The Asian dollar goes 36 times in 2020. The Jewish dollar, I think, is like 24 times. We have to be our own caretakers. And it's a mix of advocating for reform, advocating for reparation, and then exercising ingenuity, figuring out how to make $1 out of 15 cents, figuring out how to, teach, and provide opportunities that we are locked out of.
Right.
You know, I was locked out you know, Morehouse, Harvard, University of Iowa. I had to go and figure it out myself. Mad, angry,
Yeah.
I didn't have those same opportunities. But what did I have to do? Work with people who were willing to work with me. And you'll be surprised, some of the folks who have blessed my practices, their backgrounds, their life experiences. But we have to make our way because, you know, folks are taking care of themselves. And never forget, when I was studying in England, my brother from Nigeria, Femi, was a doctoral student. He said, Aaron, I was an undergraduate at the time. He said, charity starts at home. And I don't want people to misquote me on that, but we must take care of ourselves.
Yes.
White people and white foundations can't want better for Black folks than ourselves. And here's the reality. Philanthropy is nothing new in our community. Mary McLeod Bethune took $1.50 and started Bethune-Cookman University.
Right.
So we know how to give. We know the benefit of Black insurance companies and how it fueled our economy back in the earlier part of the 20th century. We've got to get back to that.
Yes.
Claude Alexander talks about how foolish it is of us to raise children or to have children, have somebody else educate them, and then depend on somebody else to give them a job. We're destined for failure.
Man, I'm so glad that I had you on today, because sometimes you have to take a step back from the entertainment of it all, the fun of it all, to just get some education and knowledge and inspiration and insight in order to deal with certain situations and different things that's going on. And I just want to thank you for coming on here and sharing with us your insight, because it's really needed, and we have to have more of this, because so many people need it, Reverend. So many people need it, and we have to show people that no matter what's going on, in the midst of it all, we still can win. We still can be faithful, and we still can be just, and we still can fight for what we believe in, and we don't have to turn away from it because of what society says or what they think. And I'll just leave with this. As a conscious faith leader, what strategies for change would you like to offer God's people? What would you like to say to the people? And when I say God's people, I mean everybody. Because whether we say believers or non-believers, the point is, as men of God and as people of faith, we know that we have to pray and stand in the gap for everybody. But I just want to know, you know, as the leader, you're the leader, the head pastor of Gorham Methodist United Church, and I know that you lead your sheep, you know, and and you're a man of faith. But I just want to know what do you have for the people in the church, out of the church, just for people in general when it comes to inspiration and motivating them to be their best.
Yeah. One, I want you to know that you're special. Two, we are the heirs of the Most High God. We are God's child, and we have an inheritance. And it's up to us to tap into our inheritance of God's love. And so I encourage us, strategy one, to embrace agape love. Be caring and be compassionate about your neighbor. Share. Live a life committed to unselfish living. We must teach, but in our pursuits to teach, we must educate ourselves as well. You must read as if your very life depends on it.
Yes,
what
sir.
we don't know will kill us.
Yes.
And so with that knowledge, with that expertise, it's not for us to be arrogant. It is not for us to be elitist, but it's to help build community. My vision for the Black church, and to be quite honest with you, I'm a part of a mainline denomination, have two affiliations, United Methodist Church and United Church of Christ, two staunch, august institutions that are primarily white. I'm committed to building the Black church.
Yes.
Because the Black church historically has been committed to elevating and preserving and ameliorating Black people. And so to that end, anything to help us out, anything to ensure that we are educated. And when I say educated, that we're thinking critically and intensively to solve problems, to champion our cause. And so if we focus on loving one another, educating ourselves, educating our neighbors, and being compassionate, lifting, as we climb and helping each other along, we will see better days inside our community, outside our community, and holding each other accountable, standing in the gap. Be a Joseph, raise somebody else's child.
Yeah.
Stand in the gap, help out. Don't make fun of people and laugh at them while they're struggling. Help them out.
Man, come on. Yes. Yeah.
So that's my stance.
Okay. Man, thank you so much. I thought it was just going to be a 30-minute interview, but sometimes you just got to let things go. It was so funny because at the beginning I was having some technical difficulties, and I said to myself, "Oh, okay, it's about to be a good show." Because anytime you got some adversity, and then we got a young lady right here. See the comment? That's a high school student. She says, "Pray together, and we need to do God's work."
Amen.
That's what I'm talking about, Cobia.
Cobia, yes, it's a Greenwood.
But that's what we need right there, Pastor. We need the young people to get in tune and understand that their voices need to be heard and that their purpose is needed, and the purpose of shedding light and being an inspiration not only to each other but to the adults and showing us, because the leadership is on them. They're up next. They're up next.
They are. They're on deck. They're on deck.
Yes, sir. So, man, I thank you so much, and I look forward to having you on the show again. Thank you for coming on and spending this time with us. And shout out to you and all your Q-Dog brothers. You know Tommy, Big Tommy?
Yeah, I know Big Tommy.
We were in the police academy together.
Okay.
That's one of my good friends, Big Tommy. But
when did you come off the force?
When did I come off? I resigned in I think 04, 05. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So it would have been like 22 years.
Gotcha. And some of my neos here in Chicago are members of the force. So Alexis Lowe, Louis Murillo, we're praying for them as well.
Yes.
We stand in solidarity.
Yes.
But I know Big Tommy.
Yes, sir. So I appreciate you, man. Anytime you ever need me, you know how to get me. I'm always willing to come out and speak, whether it's to the adults or the young people. That's my calling, to be a motivational speaker, as well as I do the acting. I actually use the acting, the celebrity from the acting, as a catalyst for me as a speaker. And it's so funny because you have a lot of celebrities or actors or different athletes that actually go speak because of who they are. And it's funny when I get to speak, they're like, "Oh, you for real?" I said, "This is my purpose." I said, "That's my passion, and God gave me talent to do that." I said, "But my purpose is people, and like you, I want to inspire, educate, and motivate people to be their best." And I appreciate everything you're doing. And I stand behind you and with you, brother.
Thank you. Likewise, sir. I'm gonna call you over here to do some emceeing for our community festival. So
yeah, I'm there.
Reaching out.
That's what I do. All you got to do is call, and I'm there.
Yes, sir.
Everybody, Reverend Dr. Aaron J. McLeod of Gorham United Methodist, Gorham Methodist United Methodist Church, 5600 South Indiana. You can check them out. How can they check you out? Because your services are online right now.
Our services are online. You can follow us on Facebook under Gorham United Methodist Church. We have service every Sunday at 10:45 a.m. live. We have a tune-in Tuesday Bible study on Tuesday nights, and we are posting things on Facebook throughout the week. We're feeding the community on Tuesday afternoons from 11 to 1, free food. When I say we give out good food, we have an awesome partnership with the Chicago depository, food depository.
Food depository.
We are providing great food.
Yes.
Big boxes of food. And then we also have a partnership with the Rainbow Push Coalition where we're giving out hot meals twice a week as well. So thanks to Reverend Jackson and his son Yosef and Jeanette Wilson for those donations. But we're just trying to be active in the community. We want to serve God in spirit and truth. And we're trying to preserve the Black church.
Okay. All right. So I will definitely see you later. I appreciate you so much. And the Simeon Henderson Show, appreciate you. Thank you to my executive producer, Jumani Anamdi, my producer, Jose Perez, my marketing director, Ashley Easley, and one of my new producers, Mr. Shelton Smith.
Mr. Shelton.
That's my brother, and I appreciate him so much. And I just thank you. And we'll have you again on the show. And I look forward to just reaching out and touching base with you on some community levels. I've been going out and feeding the community since the COVID, and it's a lot of stuff on my feed. So anytime you guys are feeding, I always come out and assist and help any way I can. Just let me know. And I appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much for joining the Simeon Henderson Show, where we're giving a voice to the people.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. Reverend Dr. Aaron McLeod. I'll see you, sir. So everybody, you've been watching the Simeon Henderson Show, where we're giving a voice to the people. Today, I want to do something special. It is my cousin's birthday. My cousin's birthday is today, and he is an artist, Jay Sinister, Sino to God, and he dropped his new video today. He is a man of faith. He's a lyricist, and he's always trying to do good in the hood and for the community. And I just want to pay homage to him today and rock his video on the show. So I want you guys to check out the new video by Jay Sinister, State of Being, something that's needed for this time. State of being as a... Come on, play right. Team reflect. How many times could have lost my step? Okay, we don't want to play right. In the shot, it was direct. In the chats, fire, brimstone. From black text, the block stayed hot as a hibachi. Okay, guys, I had a little technical glitch, so I think I got it. I think I got it now. Let's see. I just wanted time with the pops, but crime inclined. That was a wash, headed down blank roads full steam. No true goals or real dreams. Know the truth. Hurt when you would need, and no bag can appease.
losing sis, she met her fate. I lost cousins, uncles up in this race. Still humble, I set a pace. Refused.
It don't want to work.
To be product of my environment. Hit an iron in the vocals, desire in the chest. I'm hopeful I gotta win. I came a long, long way. Still fought the goal, but my state of being changed. I seen it live through it. Youngest losing life from living ruthless. I'm grateful I came through it, but I'm praying for those in it.
Okay, everybody. So I had a Teddy Riley moment. I just had a Teddy Riley moment. So check out in the link. You can go and you can check out the video. I had a Teddy Riley moment. I don't know what was going on with that, but it didn't want to play right. But check out Jay Sinister, everybody. Hey, man, sorry. One love, Jay Sinister. Go to YouTube and you can type in Jay Sinister State of Being and you can check out the video. And next time on the show, I'll be able to play it. I don't know what happened, but make sure you go to YouTube and check out Jay Sinister State of Being. All right. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. Thank you for tuning in to the Simeon Henderson Show, where we're giving a voice to the people. And remember to always be symbolic, simply your best.